So today we're going to look at some text blocks in Microbit, and we're going to look at things like calculating the length of a string, joining two strings together. We'll get the character at a particular index of a string. We will compare two strings, or have a look at comparing two strings and getting a substring of a string. So as usual, we're going to do this by using a project. So we're going to create a project to manipulate some text. So on the start, we're going to create a text variable called greeting, and we're just going to give it a value hello. When the A button is pressed, we're going to calculate the length of the string and print it out. And then we're going to pick a random number and print out the character at that index of the string. So that's enough to start off with. We'll just do that to start, and then we'll look at some other things that we can do. So we're just going to go into Microbit. We're going to create a new project. So remember, on start, we're going to create a variable called greeting, and we're going to give it the value hello. So we're just going to take the forever block. I'm going to go to variables again, make a variable, call it greeting, and click OK. So now we have our variable, and then we can set that greeting to, and I'm just going to call it hello. So now you'll see here it's not possible to do that because it's looking for a numeric value. So if I now go down to advanced and just click on text here, I can pull across this text and drop it in, and now I can call it hello. So I now have a variable called greeting, and it's set to hello, and I can check that out by just showing the string hello. But actually this time, instead of showing hello, I'm going to put in my variable greeting, and it should print hello, as it is doing there. If I now change the greeting to goodbye, it is going to show the string, and now it's showing goodbye. So that's the very start, so just setting up our variable called greeting. Now remember, we said that when the A button is pressed, we are going to calculate the length of the string and then pick a random number and print out the character at that index of the string. So we're going to create a variable called length, which is going to hold that length value. So we're clicking OK on that. And then we're going to set length to, so I'm just going to pull that across. Sorry, this is when the A button is pressed. I'm just going to go to input, on button A pressed. We're going to set the length to, and we're going to go back into the text. Now again, if we look at the text blocks, we just looked at it very quickly there, but there's a number of things we can do in here. So you can calculate the length of a particular string or a variable as we have. You can join two strings together, print that out, and we'll have a look at that. You can compare one string to another. You can create a substring of a string. So a substring is just a little part of that string. You can tell it where to start, and you can tell it how long to go on for. So here it would say a substring of a particular string value from 0, so that's from the very beginning, of length 10. And again, you can change those values. You can check to see if a string is empty. You can parse it to a number. You can get the character from a particular string at a particular index, and again the index here is 0, but you can change that, and you can do various different things there. So what we're going to do here is we are looking for the length, so I'm just going to pull across length of. So set length to length of. Now instead of hello, I am going to go back to my variables, and we want to set the length to the length of the greeting variable. If I pull that back, so our greeting at the moment is goodbye. So if I now show the number greeting, it should give us 7 as the length. So it's starting. That shouldn't be greeting, it should be length, because it's giving me an error here. If I just click on here, it says argument of type string is not assignable to parameter of type number. So it's telling me that it can't show a number for a string. So I just need to change this here and make it length. And now that should go, as you can see. So on start, it's setting up that greeting to goodbye. If I press A here, it's telling me that the length is 7. If I now change this back to hello, which is what we want it to be, see the way it's restarting, and then I press the A button and it's giving me a length of 5. So that is simply just calculating the length. Now we want to show the character at a particular index. So let's just go here and just see what we might use for that. So you've got character from a string at an index. That looks like the one we might want to have, so I'm just going to pull that across. So now I want to select a random number between 0 and that length of that character so that I can actually print out the character at that position. So I'm going to create a variable and I'm going to call it index because it's an index into that string. And I'm going to set index to, and I'm going to pick a random number. So remember, we find that in math. So I'm picking a random number. Now remember, our index is from 0 in that string. So I'm picking a random number from 0 to. Now this time, so I need to have it from 0 to length minus 1, because if my length of my string is 5 in this case, then index 0 is going to be H, index 1 is going to be E, index 2 is going to be L, index 3 is also going to be L, and index 4 is going to be O. So I need to pick random from 0 to that length minus 1. So I'll go back to math and I'll find my minus here and I'll pull that across. So if I put that in there, then I can go back to my variables and pull across the length there. So now I'm picking a random number, so my index is going to be a random number between 0 and length minus 1. And then I can just print out, so if I go back to basic, I can just show string here. And the string that I'm showing is character from, go back to my variables, so I'm going to show the character from greeting at that particular index. Now sometimes you'll find, you might have seen that a little bit, sometimes when you're trying to put it in, you'll put it in the wrong place, so you just need to be a little bit careful of that, and it's something that students struggle a little bit as well. So if you just bring it back over here, and when you see it going yellow underneath, then that's, you can let it go. So it's the character from greeting at, and I just want to click on the variables and at that index. So what I'm going to do, we know our show number length is working, so I'm just going to take that out, but I'm actually going to reuse it in here. Bring that up, and instead of showing the number length, I'm now going to show the number index, just so that I can see what it is that should be printing. And again, when I've got that tested, I'm going to take that out. So let's just test what we have here. So let's just look at the code, because we've done it quite a bit here. So on button A pressed, we're going to set the length to length of greeting. So in this case, our length will be 5. We're going to set index to pick random from 0 to length minus 1. So it's going to pick a random number between 0 and 5 minus 1, which is 4. We're going to show that value, and then once we have that value, we're going to pick the character from greeting at that index and show it. So let's just test that and see. So it's picking a random one, which is 0, and that's a H, so it's printing out the H of hello. Pick it again, it's setting it equal to 0 again. This time it's 4, so it's going to be the last letter, which is the O. It's 4 again. It's 4 again. I'm wondering about the randomness of this. Now we've got 1 and we've got an E. We've got 2 and we've got an L. We've got 3, we've got an L. We've got a 1 again, which is an E. And again, it's just picking the random digit within that greeting and printing it out. So the other two things we want to do in this project is that when the B button is pressed, we want to print out the first 3 letters of the string. And when the A and B buttons are pressed together, we want to create a text variable called name and give it the value of your name. So in my case, it'll be Pam. And we want to join the words greeting and name and display. So what that will do is it'll join hello and Pam, and it will print out hello Pam. So let's just go back and do that now. So the first one we're going to do is when the B button is pressed. So we're saying when the B button is pressed, we want to print out the first 3 letters of that string. So I'm just going to go on button B pressed here. So again, remember the button A pressed goes grey because I already have a button A. When I change it to B, that works fine. And then I'm going to go to text. And you see the way here you can do substring of whatever from 0 of length. So I'm just going to pull that across. And then I am going to go back to basic. And I'm going to show a string. So I'm just going to put that in there. And then I'm just going to drop the substring in there. So I can say substring of, and I'm going to go to variables, pull across greeting. So I'm going to put a substring of greeting from 0 of length 3. So it's from the start for 3 letters. So when I press, so what this should print out is HEL. So if I press the B button here now, prints out H-E-L, and that's all it prints, and that's exactly what we want it to do. And then finally, we want when the A and B buttons are pressed together, so I'm going to go back to input, I'm going to get the button A pressed, I'm going to change it to A and B, and we want to join two strings together. So the first thing I need to do is I need to create a variable called name, and I'm going to click OK on that. So now I have my name. I want to set my name to, now remember, it's assuming that this variable is numeric, so I need to go down to text and pull across the text, and I'm setting the name to Pam here. So now I have my name variable and I have my greeting variable. I'm going to go back into text and I'm going to join two things together. So I can bring that down there, and then I'm just going to drop it into a show string. So I've got my show string and then I've got my join. And the two things I'm going to join are the greeting, which is hello, and the second thing is the name. Okay, so now it should set the name to Pam and then it should say hello Pam. So let's just press the A and B buttons together, and there is H-E-L-L-O and then P-A-M. So you might notice there's no space in there between it. You can always put in a space if you want by adding in an extra one here. So I'm going to do a full test of this now. So I'm just going to restart it. So if I press my A button, so it's giving me, remember the A is showing me the index and then the character from that index. Now I don't actually need to show the index anymore because I've done my testing, so I'm just going to take that out and I'm just going to show the string at a particular index. So here it's restarted, press the A button, it's giving me an L, it's giving me an E, so it's just randomly giving me a different letter each time. So that's working as it should be. I press the B button and it's printing out H-E-L, and I press the A and B button together and it's printing out hello Pam, exactly as I wanted to do. So really all I wanted to show you here was just how you can use those text blocks that are here. So have a look at some of the other ones that are in there and see what you might be able to use them for. So you can see all the various different ones. We've used some of them in this screencast, okay?